Hey, Ella.
Hi.
Hey, Chris. Can I just say I came in at the best time? Like literally,
Right.
I wanted to answer some of those questions. I'm like, yes, Day the Jackal, great. Like, it's so good. And Landman and everything that's on your list right now. I was like, yeah, I'm like, yep, and that one and that. I co-sign on Paramount Plus right now.
Oh, well, thanks so much. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to watch out there. I love talking to Alan here about all that stuff, and our audience too also participates. One of the things we like to do is talk about films like yours, indie movies that are out in theaters in limited release, also coming to VOD. We're big supporters of the indie film community, and happy that you're here to talk to us about your film No Mercy. As I said, KNO. No Mercy. Tell us about the story. And I want to look at the trailer real quick, if you wouldn't mind, but tell us the story.
No Mercy follows the character of Hanok as he travels through time, trying to remember who he is and why he is. And he comes into present time, and we find that he is immortal. And not just that, he has a regenerative ability, which becomes known to a scientist who happens to be suffering from a terminal illness, who then, of course, wants to harvest his ability to heal so that he himself can live forever. That's it.
One of the things I like about indie movies is I love indie sci-fi, love indie science fiction and whatnot. What made you want to explore that in your film?
Well, first and foremost, our director, Pradelle Richardson, this was a concept that came to him during the pandemic, and due to, the restrictions of COVID, and then we had 2 back-to-back strikes, we kind of never really got it off the ground during that time. But then toward the end of 2023, we started talking, and he knew what he loosely wanted. He wanted to do this sci-fi kind of faith genre bending theme, and I am a sci-fi. That's just where I live. I am a card-carrying member. I am a Trekkie, not a Trekker. Star Trek is where I live. The original 3. It's not Star Wars. I am Marvel, not DC. Like, I line up. So we had known each other. We met on one of our first films. He was a PA and I was an actress, like 16 years ago, and we always wanted to do something together. Again, we'd done little projects throughout the years. So when he came to me, he's like, okay, I have another friend of mine who's a comedian, who's a writer, and we fleshed it out. And then I hopped in with the relationship and dialogue. And because the thing about sci-fi and faith, and you still want it to be grounded. You still want it to come from a place of believability. So the themes are universal and not so far-fetched that the suspension of disbelief becomes problematic.
Let's take a look at your trailer right now. And by the way, I'm looking at the chat. They are simping over you.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find questions. All I'm seeing is she's gorgeous. She's a Trekkie. Like, they are. Don't look at the chat right now. Don't look at the chat. It's just people that are, if you know what the term simp, they're simping hard. So
I am here for all of it.
Okay, that's good. We'll get to our chat comments, but let's take a look at the trailer right now for No Mercy, right here.
Father!
How long?
Could be a few months, maybe less, maybe more.
Why is he so important to you?
A man that can heal himself and never dies.
Alicia healed exactly as you when she was injured. Your blood initiated an intercellular response that repaired her wound.
She's his only weakness. When you're done, bring him to me.
God, what did you do?
I
found it.
Are you some kind of angel? Help! Help!
Get in.
Awesome.
Nice.
Where did you film?
Pasadena.
Yeah, it looks like LA. I was wondering.
Pasadena, in the woods, in the forest, in a car, Heritage Soundstage, what we would do. Because, I mean, this, you guys understand, like when you're on an indie film, it's not, you try to get locations, you try to raise money as you're going. And especially on this one, we would have to raise money like for a couple of weeks, and then we'd shoot 2 days, then we'd raise more money, then we'd shoot. So the cast kind of never knew what was coming up. And if we didn't raise any money, we were shooting in the streets with a drone. If we kind of had, a successful 2 weeks, then we could get actually on the hospital, which was Heritage Studio in Burbank. So it was humbling. The part that I love is the way that everybody showed up, because not having an advanced schedule, who does that to people? Who does that? Everybody's like, okay, we're gonna make this movie. We're gonna make it happen. And honestly, if anybody had really thought long and hard about what we were doing, we would have slowly but surely backed out and been like, you're like taking things out of your closet, you're cooking, craft. Like everybody had about 5 jobs.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, you're the writer and actor, and that's a difficult role. I assume you could also say producer, to be fair.
I am really, I would say, first and foremost on this one, I was a producer, then writer, then actor. I have a tremendous amount of respect for directors who are also actors, who can kind of shut off their brain. I hadn't really done it before. I'd done it in a short, and I realized that if you don't trust the team, then you can't act in the project, because you're literally trying to troubleshoot things that are going around you while trying to stay, you can't be self-conscious in those situations. You have to be completely present. But what was lovely about this, doing it in this capacity, was that our crew, I can't say enough about them collectively. If I could call them out one by one, I would. It brings new meaning to first one and last one out. We did not have one sound issue. We had not one sound cue that we had to pick up and post, because of how diligent they were in coming through. Our lighting guys, and we're on a budget. We don't have a lot of time for setups. So they gave us the most possibilities we could at any given time, so that we could shoot around. And, being in a church, and it's LA, so all of a sudden it's bright, and then 2 minutes later it's Armageddon and it looks like it's midnight outside. So there were just interesting challenges along the way. But let me tell you, going forward, any set that I step onto as an actress, I will not be a problem child. Not that I was a problem child.
Yeah.
But I just have a newfound respect. I respected people as a profession, as in terms of like, I get what you're doing, I understand it, and I respect you as a person doing. I have, to my core, a respect for what each department has to bring, and the fact that without them, nothing's going to happen. All that cute stuff that I have to do, all I have to do is hit my mark. And even so much as saying, I think that I want to lean, I don't have to lean, because that requires a whole new lighting setup. I will approach each sort of with like, I'm here to make life easier, not harder. So.
We've got over 2,000 people watching live right now. We have a lot of questions and comments for you. Let's go to our chat and get some of their comments here. From Mr. D-Man 21, sounds like a 90s action movie. And Bill 1313 says, "Wow, she's gorgeous."
We have 20 comments like that. So
Yes, I know. I was gonna say, just the Marty is ruling says, "Why can't she work on Marvel and Star Trek?"
Do you understand that I keep putting in? I auditioned for Star Trek when I first got to LA back in 2008, and Zoe Saldana booked over at the time, and it is my life's mission to get onto Star Trek. It is all I want. There's no version that exists of me in this multiverse that doesn't end up with me on Star Trek. So
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Solomon Thornton, greetings, Madam Ella. What is your writing process like?
It shifts from project to project. On this one, because I was collaborating, mine mainly fell to the dialogue. And the thing about it is, with dialogue, you want to write the way people speak. You want to stay conversational, and you want to stay in a flow. The one thing that I have found that I personally prefer is to be economical with dialogue. Don't hit your audience over the head with a lot of exposition. Trust that they can read what's in between the lines. So I tend to underwrite for characters.
Let's see. Adellis 24 says, having worked in many different genres on both film and TV, which past projects of yours had the biggest impact on how you approach the screenplay for this project?
I would have to say Desperation Road, which was directed by Nadine Crocker, because I watched her build a world. Also, it wasn't an indie film, but I loved her approach and how close she worked with her writer and her DP, and how she trusted her DP to do the dance. So watching. Also, I haven't had a lot of opportunities to work with female directors, and it was a lesson in how to navigate that and be strong and respect your team without, overcompensating, so to speak. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense.
8Ellis24 has a follow-up. You worked with friend of the show, Nadine Crocker, on her film Desperation Road. How was that experience?
I think I just answered that.
Yeah, you just brought it up.
Yeah, Nadine Crocker is a force of nature. I have so much love for that woman, but also so much respect. She's a powerhouse. I don't know if anybody's gotten the opportunity to also watch the film Continue, which she had done before Desperation Road. And she not only wrote that, she is the lead in it. And it is a beautiful, beautiful film. And it kind of, was her calling card. It's what got her Desperation Road. So yeah, I'm a big, big fan of hers.
Super chat here from Peter Yannick for 10 pounds. He's across the pond in the UK. Says Star Trek series ranked best to worst. I don't know if that's fair to ask, but maybe
I'm not going to give you the worst, but I'm going to just put this out there. It's one of the most recent ones.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
Best. I'll give you my job. The original 3 seasons to me hold true in a way that Gene Roddenberry was ahead of his time, because what he was doing was so subversive. Like, he was sneaking in messaging to get past the CBS censors, and the way he cast was in defiance of what was going on, in that contemporary time and culture. Mm-hmm. And I grew up in Germany, and at the time when those were coming out, I didn't realize how much history he had packed, how much historical accuracy he was using to kind of shape this world. But the messaging was always, do no harm, move forward with respect for all. And growing up seeing that, for me, I was like, I can be anything. I can go anywhere. It spoke to that part of me that didn't believe in the limitations that I might have been the messaging I might have been getting from the outside world and society. So I love that. By the way, I was completely surprised when I then moved to the United States and I was like, oh, that's not current. They're like, no. I'm like, honey, we're past Deep Space Nine. We're on to like, all of it. It's like the board here. I'm like, oh, okay.
You're officially the favorite person who's ever been on this show, just so you know. And Knee Pain for 5 asked, thank you, Knee Pain. The energy and passion of your guests reminds me of how I used to feel and make me want to create again. So there's a compliment. And Knee Pain, by the way, used to work at Lucasfilm. So there you go.
Oh, such a I mean, I do love that studio. And I will say this, the one thing I love, I have an acting coach named Brisa Garcia Brown. She's also a fantastic casting director. But what she always says is do it. If you want to write, start with 1 page, start in the morning, start with setting a timer for a minute. If you want to direct, take your phone, go out. It's all right here. We start to think that we can't do it and we get overwhelmed by the idea, but in manageable bites, there's no world in which I get to be here and exist in this space where I get to create and have fun and collaborate if I don't just put one foot in front of the other, because everything's going to tell you that it's not possible. Everything is going to tell you all the ways it won't work. So take a leap of faith on yourself. I believe that from the bottom of my heart. Alchemist, the universe conspires with you if you put it out there, right?
Well, I have a question, but piggybacking on that, where did you get your crew together from? How did you pull the production crew together?
Purdell has worked with this group of guys for probably 3 years. Mm-hmm. And they do different programs. They've worked on other films because Purdell's also a DP. So it's the team that he brings with him when he is a DP on other programs. But his heart is that of a director. That's where he wants to eventually live. But we got to pay the bills, people, right?
Exactly. We have more questions here from Christopher Moonlight Productions. My question is, when setting a sci-fi movie in modern day, how do you make sure you're delivering the right amount of the fantastic that fans are hoping for?
The thing about that going in is it's hard because everybody wants something different. And sci-fi actually means a lot of different things to people. Some expect a big spectacle of, CGI, and others prefer it to be plot driven. What I try to do, because it's a lot to bite off on a small budget to try and keep things looking a certain way without sacrificing so much of the quality that everyone's like, oh God, what happened? But what I like to do when it comes to science fiction, I feel like it should support the story. I feel like we shouldn't, if you have to use these elements to tell your story, then maybe it isn't as grounded as it should be. I don't want to be overwhelmed with this fantasy aspect that doesn't support the plot or the characters. I want it to still be believable. And I think especially in modern times, if you're trying to set it in a world, especially, and also with this, because there is a faith-based element, there's this idea of, I don't know why, but I believe.
Let's see. Afghani asks, what's the budget? You shouldn't really say exactly, maybe a range. Under 50 million? Under 50 million?
Oh, so far under. So here's the truth. When you have a budget like this, and I'll give you a range that it was in the 150,000 area.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah.
Well, what ends up happening is that a lot of it is deferred. You do a lot, like we had a lot of our equipment already. That helps. As I said, we raised money as we went, but you end up deferring a great deal of the cost to the end. So, you're running in a bit of a deficit, which is the reality of all these films. And I think that's what ends up happening to a lot of indie filmmakers, is that they go in and they budgeted for maybe production, but they don't budget for post-production. And I feel like that gap between post-production and you find a distributor or a sales agent, that space is a very expensive space. You have music, you need clearance, you need E&O insurance, there's a world. I basically went to film school in like 6 months, you guys. You have no idea. But
Yeah.
it was, you need attorney's fees. You need something called clearance so you can get E&O insurance. There's no way to learn it but to learn it, unless you've been an PA or an assistant on projects like this. But yeah, it is daunting to do it at that level with that budget, because as I said, we say that amount, but a lot of that is on the back end. So a lot of spit and glue and tape.
It works.
Yeah, right. And don't look under the rug.
Red French Moon says, how did you deal with the fantastic elements of the story? Did you try the most on set nowadays? Is it like, in camera? I think he's trying to say practical effects or digital, make it believable for indie.
So what we did on the effects is that we built them. For example, the wounds and all that, we actually had them on the body, and then we went in post to take them out. So we built our effects in the physical portion of it. We've actually built on the characters on set. We did as much with makeup as we could, and then we would enhance in post, like in terms of aging, in terms of, I can't say that because that happened there and this and that. But yeah, the elements at the end where we have spirits but those were done mostly in post. Elements like that. But everything that's supportive of wounds and things, we actually did have a special effects makeup artist that built those.
And one final question from Afghani again. Where do you watch all these indie movies? Where can we see No Mercy?
Oh, no mercy. Oh, Gravitas took care of us. We are everywhere. Seriously, if you trip, you're going to hit us. We are on Apple. We are on Amazon, Fandango, Vudu, Google, YouTube. We are on cable, Spectrum, and Comcast. So yeah, you'll find us.
Okay, good. And then last thing, where can people find you and follow your work?
You can find me on IG, Gaia Girl, Gaigurl. It's a little like homage to James Lovelock, 1972, the Gaia hypothesis. Listen, wow. I'm a nerd. I'm okay with it. All right. We roll.
That's great.
And yeah, currently I am Desperation Road is also on Amazon. I'm on Nightbitch, which is currently Amy Adams' vehicle, which is on Hulu. So yeah, I'm around, guys.
I saw Nightbitch. That's great. That's awesome. Love it. Ella, thank you so much. If you have another movie, please come back and talk to us. We would appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me, especially on, it's easy on the big budget ones, but for you to show love to our little movie means the world to me. And I really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.